But no first. Nothing. Not a thing. From the serenity of watching some nice little chickadees and nuthatches having their lunch, yeah, reality has to get back in the way of a Sunday afternoon. What we've got here is a regular 2-stage snowblower, regardless of the nameplate on it. This is a pretty typical design you'll find these days. I'm completely new to these things. 2-stage snow removal for me, up to the point that we got this, involved 2 shovels, myself and the wife. But getting up there in the years and moving to an acreage kind of necessitated this, for fear of having a jammer one day while removing the snow. It's been actually working great. To tell you the truth, since we got it, we haven't had many huge snowfalls. Isn't that the way it usually goes? But we did have a good dump here the other day, about 40-50 centimeters. And I have no first gear. You put her in first and she doesn't go anywhere. Got second through 6, no problem. Reverse, no problem. Yeah, the lazy side of me says, well, don't use first gear, dumbass. But yeah, you know how it works. Usually if something is not working, if you leave it, it's going to be a bigger problem down the road. So I'm just going to demo what it's not doing, and we'll take it down into the garage and see if we can see what's going on with this thing. First, nothing. Second, starts moving. Third, fourth, sixth, and reverse works fine. But no first. Nothing. Not a thing. So where do you usually start to look for problems? You look in the owner's manual. And I did. And you know what's interesting? There's not an exploded parts diagram in here anywhere of this thing. Like, how in flack do they expect us to fix stuff without an exploded parts view? So, useless. I read it. There's something about adjustments here. To adjust speed, select and drive engagement. I want to see what makes this thing work. So we're going to start tearing into it. Seeing that there's no exploded parts diagram view, I want to see what makes this thing tickety-tick. Well, not knowing the what for of what to take off first, this looks like the business end of our drive assembly, or at least I assume we can see what's inside from that. There's just 2 bolts to take off of this housing, or shroud, and hopefully we can get into that. So I'm just going to fast forward through this. She's being stubborn. Okay. Wow. Okay, so let's have a close-up in here. Interesting. Well, there's the output from the engine. This is probably our, that's our auger belt. And this is the drive belt, which, I think I see what's going on. Okay, let's take a look here. Okay, I don't know how well this is going to show up. I can't believe what a simple and awesome design these are. Again, I've never seen inside one of these, so we're learning something new. There's this disc. I guess it's called the drive disc. You can't really see it, but when you engage the drive, this whole disc moves up. It touches a little black wheel. It's actually quite a big wheel, and that's what drives the back wheels. There's a shaft on there. I can't see from the bottom. It's closed in on the bottom, but there's a shaft through that wheel. I imagine there's some gearing before it goes to the actual axle. It's not in line with the wheel axles, so there's probably some gearing in there, or maybe even a chain. But for your speed, all this is so there's this round disc, and depending on where this drive wheel sits on that disc will dictate how fast it spins. On the outside of the disc there's 6th gear. Obviously it's going to be turning a lot quicker than when it's close to the center. And reverse, so anything on this side is forward, anything on this side of center, it'll turn in reverse. It's such a simple and elegant way to do it. I kind of thought there might be some kind of cone drive, or I didn't really know what to expect. And when you engage drive, it just pulls that disc, which is spinning, which is hooked up to the motor pulley, and then it drives that wheel. And in my case, it's really obvious to see what the problem is. The cable that dictates where this sits has probably stretched, and this wheel in first is sitting right on the center of the disc. So when the disc is spinning, the wheel is just sitting right in the middle. It's not doing a thing. So it has to be moved out more. And there is an adjustment for that on the cable. And what I'm going to do is I'll adjust it so in first it's it's roughly the same distance out from center as it is in reverse. This is only a 1-speed reverse. That's another thing that gets me. You pay a lot more to have a 2-speed reverse, and all it takes is to have a little more throw on the gear selector lever. You'd just be moving it a little bit further out, so you just have more throw, and they charge like, what, $100 extra for that to have a 2-speed reverse. Amazing. So I'm going to adjust that cable. So this is the cable adjuster for that, what positions the gear selector wheel. So we're going to have to lengthen it. Okay, I'm just looking through at that wheel to see where it's moving. Put it in reverse. I could go a bit more. So again, I want to see first equal distance on one side of center as reverse is on the other side. So we've got to go a little more. Just one. Boy, that was really out of adjustment. I don't know if something slipped. Can't see the cable stretching that much. It was probably out of adjustment right from the factory, I'm guessing. Okay, so they both look equal distance. I'm going to see if we can see that in the camera. And this is really hard. This is really hard to see. But basically, there's reverse. That's about dead center. And there's first now. So that's where first used to be, right in the middle of that disc. So it wouldn't turn the drive wheel. Now there's first, oh sorry, that's first right there. And again, really simple when you engage drive. Oh, there goes our flashlight. Ah, yeah, just lovely. Hopefully you get the idea. I just thought I'd go over a couple of things to mention. If you got one of these, again, very similar design on a lot of them, no matter what the name brand is. Yeah, seeing that there's no bloody exploded parts view in the instruction booklet, it's a good time to see how this thing is put together. Pretty interesting design, very simple, although they've made it, if you have to change one of these belts, this is the auger belt, that's the belt for that drive disc, you actually have to separate the whole auger section from the back engine and drive half. Looks like there's 4 bolts, 2 on each side. It's a heavy bugger, but belts still look good. This thing doesn't have many hours on it, like I said. That's a good time to check them out. I also checked the tension, but yeah, if you had to take this into the dealership, boy, you're going to hemorrhage a few bucks out of your pocket. Or not the dealership, the power equipment store. So it's kind of neat to know that it doesn't look like it's too bad to change the belts. It's not as simple though as just pulling a belt off. You actually have to take the front or the whole drive section off. Anyways, yeah, Get the cover back on, take it outside, see if it works. Moment of truth. First. Works. Oh, reverse is a little too slow. So I've obviously adjusted that cable too far, so that drive wheel's a little too far on that side of the disc. Holy crow. Yeah, she's a little fast. So just going to adjust that back a bit, retest it. That's all there is to it. So if you've got one of these things, you lose first, probably just a cable adjustment. Really simple repair. Okay, so we're just going to adjust this in a bit. Okay, that's first. Okay, that's a lot better. So basically I'm trying to get first at the same speed as reverse, meaning the drive wheels equal distance on either side of center of the drive disc. So easy fix this time around. Got off lucky, no hemorrhaging. Cheers.